We're good?
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, Yossi. No. Everybody's in good seats. Shai, everybody's in good seats. Okay, guys, let's go. Just
Let's go, guys.
careful with banging because it shakes the camera. No, you're good. All right. Is that Shulchan?
Okay.
I don't want to pick it up in the middle of the thing. Okay. Today's shir is a chis for Akiva Simcha Mefega, for a zivig looking for Chav Basmin, a zivig looking for Hova Basmin, and for Dovidari Ben Penina Peril. I'd like to welcome the two new guys. Welcome from coming. Rabbi Alpert and Rabbi Klein. Thanks for joining. Okay. Let's go. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick chazar from yesterday, and then we're going to give, right after the chazar from yesterday, before we start today's Gemara. We still mamish, they didn't, okay, it's a week.
Not playing around.
We still have the poppers stuff. Okay, we're going to do now the quick chazara, and right before we start the new Gemara, we're going to give a sort of a outside explanation of what the goal is for the Gemara, and we're going to get to that. Okay, so we're starting from the question, right? It's about 10 lines down, the fourth to last word from the line. Are you coming to really tell me that Rabbi Yehuda is not concerned that the barrel will break? Again, this is discussing the cases of the B'kiyas Hanoid, that the person took the wine flasks or jug or barrel, whatever it is, from the Kutiyim. So we went back and forth. We had Kasher Rabbi Meir Ad Rabbi Meir, Kasher Rabbi Yehuda Ad Rabbi Yehuda. It's by Truma. Can the person still drink it? Rabbi Yehuda says you can't. And now we want to know what's his reasoning. So we're asking, and we basically said he's not concerned about it. What was Rabbi Yehuda's concern? Breira. I know, I'm sorry, we're just in the middle of a sugya, but we'll get to the new part in a moment. So, he says like this, we're asking, Rabbi Yehuda we had the answer that it's because of Breira. Really? Is that the real reason? Guys, Avrami, let's go. No, I'm only chapping him because sugar. Okay, is Rabbi Yehuda really not concerned? What? That's fine, don't worry. Is Rabbi Yehuda not really concerned about B'kiyas Hanoid? So, we're gonna bring a case. What does the Gemara do? He's gonna bring a case that it seems like he is. So what do we say? We say Seifa. At the end of that brisa that discusses it, Amr Reb Meir, Rabbi Yehuda tells Reb Meir, aren't you maskim that we're concerned if the flask will break? He's asking Reb Meir. So what does it seem like? It seems like he's concerned. So what does he say? And it comes out that if you do not take truma from this, and he drank it, it's tevel. And what's the punishment for tevel? Misa. So he's asking Reb Meir, aren't you concerned? So what does Reb Meir say back to him? He says, call me when that happens. Meaning it's not likely to break. Mechalal. So what do we take out of that? We infer from this the Chayish Rabbi Yehuda B'kiyas Hanoid. That Rabbi Yehuda is concerned about B'kiyas Hanoid. Otherwise he wouldn't ask this question. Again, this is what we said yesterday. So to answer it, we say Hasam Rabbi Yehuda the Ka'amar Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda told Rabbi Meir like this: Lididi Leslie Breira. According to me, the reason why you can't drink it is because I don't hold to this concept of Breira. El Lididach, but to you Rabbi Meir, that you hold to this concept of Breira. The Yesh Breira Yatamayde the Shemi Vakayanaid. Aren't you concerned that this jug will break and then it will be tavel and then the guy could be chayav misa? So he says Amar Le. Again, Rabbi Meir goes back to him. I'm so not concerned. Meaning, I understand that the punishment is misa. I'm so not concerned. Come and get me when it breaks. It's not going to break. So now we're starting. This is still a continuation from yesterday. And now we're going to go back. Is Rabbi Yehuda also not chayish for misa by us that the animal is going to die? So he says, "V'hatnan." We have a mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda. This is in Yuma. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Afi shacheres mitakinen loy shema tamas ishtay. That what? A Kohen Gadol can't do the avodah on Yom Kippur if he doesn't have a wife. So what do? He has a wife, but we're concerned. What happens if his wife dies? So Rabbi Yehuda says over there, what do? You prepare a standby wife. So what happens? He has a wife on standby, that if his wife dies, he's automatically married to her, and then he could still continue the avodah.
I didn't know it's an option.
It's a big process to make it happen. So he says like this. So what do? We do this. So obviously you see, Rabbi Yehuda is concerned somewhat that someone will die. So he's concerned for Misa. So what's the answer? Ha'itmar Allah. It says over there a little bit further on, Rav Huna, Bered Rav Yeshua. Rav Huna said, the son of Rabbi Yeshua says, Ma'ala also bekapara. We did extra because it's Yom Kippur, so we did extra on top of it. We wanted to make sure that Yom Kippur is a smooth day, it's a day we need kapara. This is not, I'm not concerned that she's going to die, but I just added stuff so we cover our bases. Now we're starting the new Gemara. Now, we went through now basically a full daf of going back and forth, Reb Meir and Rabbi Yehuda discussing, can you use an animal for a wall of a sukkah? Now, just to understand, the requirements for a sukkah are very basic. The walls, there's really no major requirements other than it has to be 2 and 1 tefach. 2 and a third one of 1 tefach. Wherever it's discussing a lot of requirements that we have heavily regarding the sukkah is the height and the schach. Otherwise, the wall is not really major, meaning not major debate on what it needs to be. So what do we have over there? We had Reb Meir that said you could use it. Reb Meir says you cannot use it. Rabbi Yehuda says you can. By it, we're talking about an animal. So, what's Reb Meir? It's all, when he says you can't use it for a wall, it's a derabanan. Because really, deraisa, everyone will agree that midaraisa you're allowed to use an animal for a wall. Now, Reb Meir, remember what he said over there. Reb Meir said, if you look back, what did Reb Meir say? He said like this. He says, Reb Meir Paisal, now what's the reason? Shahaya Reb Meir Omer, Kol Davar Sheish B'Ruach Hayim, I said, Loy Doif in the sukkah, you can't use it for a wall for a sukkah, V'loy Lachil Mavoy, V'loy Pasan Libirais, V'loy Goy Lekever. He said all these things. Reb Meir said these 4 things you cannot use an animal for. But midaraisa, you could use it for a wall. It's a kosher wall, it's a kosher mechitza. So Reb Meir comes and says that you can't. That's fine. For most of the cases, that would be very simple and fine. Why? Because Reb Meir is being machmer. Now, the Rabbanon are allowed to make a chumrah on a deraisa. If, let's say, the Torah tells you could do certain things, the Rabbanon, they made gedarim, they made chumras, they made things that were more stringent. However, what can't they do? They can't be makel. They can't say, oh, the Torah says this, you're allowed to do this. They can't just make a kula. So now what happens? By the case of the wool for a sukkah, it's a chumrah. By the case of the other cases, the lechi, it's a chumrah. Because you never really needed it. So he's saying, if you do a machmir on this. But the one place that it comes out, it sounds like a kula, is by goyla lekever. Now what's a goyla lekever? If let's say you have a casket. Now the body is in a casket in the ground, and you want to put sort of like a tombstone or something to cover it. And in this case, we wanted to use an animal. That case, what happens? He says it doesn't work, which means that this animal cannot be metami. Because what happens? Anytime you use a covering for a casket, that covering gets the same tuma as the guf, and if you move it and it touches something else, it transmits the tuma. So when Reb Meir says that you cannot use this animal for a cover for the casket, he's basically being mekel and saying that if this animal moves away and it touches somebody, it's not transmitting tuma. How could Reb Meir make a kula on a deraisa? And we're going to say that's a phenomenal question. So obviously, this entire daf that we were just discussing sort of gets wiped away, and we're going to say this is obviously not Reb Meir's reasoning. The whole thing that we said that Vishchaj Misa, that's not it. And then we're going to discuss, and we're going to bring 2 possible scenarios of what it is that Reb Meir meant. One will be that it has to be man-made, a wall has to be man-made, and one will be that kol mechitza shemetz beruach is not a mechitza. And we're going to explain inside what that means. What does it mean, ein beruach? Means an animal, what's keeping it standing? What's the concern when it stands? If the animal is dead, it falls over. So what's keeping it standing? The ear that's in it. But is the ear really keeping it standing? If you remove the ear, it just falls, right? So what is it? It's a spiritual thing. The Rebbeinu Shalom put ear into the animal, and now it's alive. It has a ruach that's alive. Therefore, it stands. So what happens? This is not a wall. It's not a substance. It's not a tangible thing. The ruach that's in the animal is not tangible. What's keeping it alive? The Rebbeinu Shalom. And that, he says, even midaraisa is not considered a wall. Why? Because it's not tangible. So now we're going to see all this inside. If it's dead, it's not. If it's dead, it falls down. If it falls down, tangible means something you could touch. It's a thing, something that's tangible. Correct.
Wait, a dead animal.
Yeah.
Is that, could it cover the?
So we said an elephant would be good, and everyone's masking because over there it covers the space. But a small animal wouldn't give you 10 tefachim. It's not a wall. Okay, we're going to see this all inside right now. So now. Ben Laman da Amar Shemet Tamus, Ben Laman da Amar Shemet Tivrach, according to both Man da Amrim, explaining Reb Meir, which is Abai and Reb Zera, right? They all agree, Midaraisa Mechitza Ma'al Yehi. They would all agree that midairaisa, this animal would be a kosher wall for a sukkah. V'Rabbanan hu degazruba, and the Rabbanan are the ones that made exer on it. So now ela me'ata, the Meir tetam mishum goylo. So from here you see that a Meir should really say that the animal, that if you put it on top of a casket for a cover, should be tummy and should give over tumah. But what do we see? Alama tanan. So then, why then do we say in a Mishnah in Erevin, Rabbi Yehuda metam mishum goylo? Rabbi Yehuda says that the animal would be metam mishum goylo. Rabbi Meir metar, he says it would not. He uses the lashon tar. Why does he say that? Obviously, he's sort of making a kula on this. So Ella Amar Avacha Bar Yaakov. So now this is a very good question. Sort of we're stuck. Rav Abai and Rav Zera are sort of stuck with what they said, the explanation of Rav Meir. So now we have to come up with another explanation on how Rav Meir gets to this point that it's no good, that it doesn't work and it's mitar and not mitame. So Ella Amar Avacha Bar Yaakov. So therefore comes Rav Acha Bar Yaakov and he says, because Rav Meir held, what was his shita? Any wall that stands through ear is not a mechitza. And igadami, and there are those that say, so now these are the two shitas, these are the two explainers. One is ruach, what's the second one? Igadami, Amar Vacha Bar Yaakov, Kasavar Meir, kol mechitza, she'ena sibidei adam, ain't a mechitza. Any mechitza that's not man-made is not a mechitza. And again, an animal is not man-made. So number one, an animal has ear that's holding it up. It's not something tangible, it's not physical. Or it's not man-made. So in both instances, it's no good. So now, what do we always do? When you get to a point that you have two separate sheets, what do we say? What's the difference between the two? What's the difference? So we say, my benai, what's the difference between these two? Basically, what happens is like this. If let's say you took a balloon, right, and you blew it up fully with air, a balloon, and lemanda amar mechitza imedes beruach in a mechitza. So that a balloon that you blew up with your mouth, you blew air into it, right? So according to Manda Amar, it's a medes beruach in a mechitza. Hare medes beruach. It's standing beruach. So he says it's not a mechitza. So this is standing beruach. The Manda Amar deina sebidei adam. According to Manda Amar, that's not man-made, but it is. So that's sort of the in between. Hare asibidei adam. And this is what we're going to get up to today. There is a difference between these two, because according to this one, who says it needs to be blown up, and it would be no good if it's done by ear, this is done by ear. But according to the one that needs to be man-made, so according to one it would be good and one wouldn't be good, and that's sort of the difference between the two. So now we're going to do chazar on this, and we're going to call it a day. So one more time, we had this whole daf discussing all this stuff, and basically we're coming with a very strong bomb kasha, and we're knocking off Abai and Reb Zer's sheets on Reb Meir, and comes Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, did I say the... Yeah, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, and he explains it. So he says like this: Ben lamanda amar Shem Thomas, Ben lamanda amar Shem Tivrach, midoraisa mechitza malihi. They both would agree that midoraisa it is a good mechitza. V'Rabbanan hu degazruba, and it's the Rabbanan who are misakin it on it. Elamat Reb Meir tetam mishum goel. So therefore, Reb Meir should really be metama mishum goel and not mitar, because how could he be mekel on a deraisa? Alama tanan. So why then does it say in Erevin Rabbi Yehuda metama mishum goel? Reb Meir mitar. You see clearly he says it is mitar. He basically says it does not transmit tama. So how could that be? So Allah Amar Vacha B'Yaakov, because Sover Reb Meir, the question is great. So he's going to explain differently. Reb Meir holds kol mechitza shemedes beruach in a mechitza. Any mechitza that stands with ruach is not a mechitza. Ikadarmi, there are those that say Amar Vacha B'Yaakov, a different way to explain it. Because Sover Reb Meir holds kol mechitza she'enos b'dei adam in a mechitza. It's also not a mechitza. My benai. What's the difference between the two of them? It's sort of a blown up balloon of like a flask, a blown up flask, that you're using that as the wall. Rashi actually explains you're not using that as the wall. You have a flimsy wall, and you basically have a ear, like you imagine like today, like what are these jumpy things that you could like blow up,
Give those people
these bounty, but you use the bounty house and you stand the wall against it, so the wall doesn't fall, it's leaning on that. That's the way he explains it. So he says, he doesn't say the bouncy thing, he just says it differently. I don't think they had it back then. Lamanda Amar Mechitza Medes Beruach in Mechitza. Harei Medes Beruach. It's standing by with Ruach. Lamanda Amar Inasa B'dei Adam. Harei also B'dei Adam is man-made. So just to get to the point, we had a bomb kash on him. How could he be make on a daraisa? And the answer is because in both these responses between of Rav Acha Yaakov, right, if it's blown up by ear, it's not tangible, so it's even deraisa, they don't consider it a wall. And that's how we could explain Rav Meir. Or it's not man-made, and if it's not man-made, it is also not considered a wall, and that's how we explain Rav Meir. Rabbi Isai, keep doing the Chazara. Welcome aboard, and Amit Hashem, we will see you all tomorrow night.